.5 Soufriere FM, 11 minutes after the hour of 11 a.m. in Soufriere St. Lucia and, of course, the Eastern Caribbean, as I present you with the second fold of today's House Guest edition. And it's just getting more interesting. With me is Mr. Darnel Bobb, not in the capacity of the Forces Jacques Cooperative Credit Union manager, but I can officially say from the committee of the Year of Men, that is the RC Roman Catholic Soufriere Parish. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Sister Cabrina, and good morning to folks out there listening to us either on radio or Facebook, YouTube, wherever. I'm hoping that we're going to have a very good, nice discussion. You'll be surprised to know what I'm here to speak about. As Cabrina said, not in the capacity that I'm usually here for, a more informal capacity, but very, very important, as you will find out as we continue our discussion.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Bobb. Before we delve into the conversation, just share some light. We are in the Lenten season as well, and my observation is that Lent has been thrown out of the window. People, businesses are still going on as usual. Entertainment, life is just happening, you know.
Yes, indeed. Sadly, so a lot of our traditional behaviors, activities, and so on that would commemorate religious holidays and religious times of the year, sadly, are losing the flavor, the importance, and the significance. And it's all part of why we are experiencing, in my opinion, and I'm sure in many people's opinion, the decay in our morals and society and our young people, and we see the increasing crime and other ills of society. And closely related to that is what I'm about to speak about. And it is really, a lot of us believe, I mean, if you are honest with yourself, you would have noticed for some time now, men who are an important part of our society, important part of our families, are not fulfilling the roles that they were meant to fulfill as best as they can. In fact, we are quickly seeing what is referred to as men at risk. Men are no longer significant players in the operations of the major sectors of society. And I speak of the church, I speak of the family, I speak of education, I speak of community development, even the employment. You see men seem to be taking the back seat and allowing the women to take over, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I think the intention was for us to move away from a male-dominated society to one where we have both male and female working together. Sadly, what we're seeing is probably the opposite side of the spectrum where we came from. So we had a male-dominated society, and now we're moving with the help of a number of initiatives to try to bring women into mainstream sectors in society. But we're now seeing us going now to almost like a female-dominated society. And there are a number of reasons for that. And what is really happening is that the Archbishop Malze has recognized that and felt that there was a need for the church to do something. And so one of the first things he did was to declare this year the Year of Men. And he has mandated parishes to form committees, planning committees, to see how they can put together activities, programs, projects, whatever it takes, strategies, to try to see how we can get men to fulfill the roles that we think that they should be fulfilling, and to take up the place alongside the women so that we could have better societies, better families, better church, and religion, and community development, and so on. This is lacking. So I am part of the committee that was set up for Soufriere Parish. And I know some people might be laughing out there, but hey, as you can see, I'm carrying my cross from time immemorial. I am a practicing Catholic from birth. And I felt, hey, I needed to play my part to see, not just because of church, but like I said, this thing is affecting our entire society, our entire community, our entire world. Men are not putting their hands up and saying, hey, I'm in the game, or if you want to call it a war, to see how we can get our communities, our societies, from the family level all the way up to institutions in our communities, working as they should for the betterment of our society and for humankind.
Thank you for that sharing. And of course, we're asking for our listeners, especially the men, feel free to come on with your concerns as well. Whatever you want to just share in, Mr. Bobb will be more than happy to provide more insights for you. At this moment, I just want to share with you, or maybe a concern in terms of the men. There are always reasons as well why the men turn to such behaviors, especially in the homes, the level of absenteeism as well. We women tend to manage our stress factors a lot better than the men, even especially when it comes to health complications or health on the whole as well. The awareness, the men do not come forward.
Yes, I mean, that has been a problem from time immemorial, that men don't take their health seriously. Only men go to hospital, if they actually go, is when they are sick. So preventative health care is something that and it's part of maybe the upbringing that men are supposed to be strong and tough and that macho kind of image. They sick like nobody knows, and they still portray this front. And whereas the women are a lot more aware and attuned to their bodies and the importance of health. So yes, certainly we need to get men to do the annual checkups, for example. As teaching time saves 9, we've learned that from time immemorial.
Yes.
And what that means is that you need to do what you need to do to know what's going on with you and your body. You may appear to be very healthy, but inside something is not right. And your annual checkups, if you're a doctor, at a particular age, you are susceptible to more certain kinds of diseases and so on. And an early check and an early detection of some diseases can mean life and death, the difference between life and death. And we need to get men to take their health more seriously. Health is wealth, they say. If you're not healthy, you're not going to be productive. And we see, and if we need any, I don't think we need any encouragement to see that people are dropping like flies. People you hear of and you say, hey, monsieur, yeah, boy, why monsieur? Hey, but moi parle pas monsieur, monsieur regarde tellement fit, monsieur toujours kai courir avec monsieur moi regarde attaque. And that's the reality. You may appear to be healthy on the outside, but you on the inside, who knows what's going on? And only a doctor and certain medical procedures and tests can help us with that. And you'd be surprised, yes, you spend $300-$400 to do your annual tests and so on, and you are able to detect and prevent tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in trying to fix a problem that you found out exists too late. All right. So I encourage men out there to take their health seriously. The women, you all need to, if anything, you all need to nag men about is to take care of their health. Insist that they take care of their health. Get their friends to encourage them, whoever. But men need to go and see their doctors at least once a year to do their annual checkups.
Okay. Could you share with us the inspiration of why you're here? And of course, we know there's a week retreat specifically for the men.
Right. So we are in what is referred to as the Lenten season. It's a special season for Catholics. It's a 40-day, 40-night season leading up to Easter. And of course, that time of the year, Easter, Good Friday, is a very important time, one of the most important times on the Catholic calendar, where you prepare yourself for that time when Jesus was crucified and rose again in 3 days, which is on the Easter Sunday. So you'll need to prepare yourself in lots of ways spiritually, make certain sacrifices. So some of the sacrifices that you're expected to make is in terms of prayer. You need to communicate with God a little more through prayer, personal prayer, not just the Our Father, but speak to God. And I know some men tell you, boy, I don't know how to pray. And prayer is simply just a conversation with God, a one-on-one conversation with God. You know let God know what you're going through, how you feel about it, and how you want his help, and how you prepare to help yourself, and so on. You do that. You do it about your family. You pray for your family. You pray for your colleagues. You pray for your community. You pray for your leaders, whatever. You do that. And Lent is a time when you probably need to spend a little more time doing that. It speaks about fasting as well and making sacrifices on what you eat, particularly things that are detrimental to your body. And also there's the act of giving. So we expected to probably reach out more to the poor and reach out to the needy and the disadvantaged and see how you can help, as well as, like I said, participating in more religious activities and so on, in preparation and respect for that period where you had somebody who came to deliver us from our sin. He was crucified and died on the cross for us, to take away our sin and to give us an opportunity for us to wipe our slates clean of our sin. Another thing that you need to do in the Lenten season as well is to repent and to ask God for forgiveness for your sins and so on. So it's an important time for us. And usually the Lenten season, the church would have what we refer to as retreats, where you come in and you do some of these things that I just mentioned. You pray to God, you worship, you sing, various activities. And what has happened in the past is that they separated in terms of you have a retreat for men, a retreat for women, a retreat for children, and sometimes you have one for the family. This year we had one for the children. That was last week. What's going on right now is a retreat for the females. So all females who can and are able, make an effort to come in. It ends on Friday for you all. I think it starts at 6:30. And it's only women who are going to be there. So you can couch whatever discussions and preachings and prayers and so on, really, so it fits the women, because men and women are wired differently. So next week, my main reason for being here next week is to try to see how I can use my influence to encourage men to come out to the men's retreat. The men's retreat is planned by the men in the Catholic Church, a series of activities that we believe can be helpful in helping to build the spirituality of men, and also to help men, like I said, see the importance that they have in society and how they need to fulfill the obligations for the sake of themselves, their children, the community, and so on. So that starts on Monday and goes on till Friday. We have a number of different activities. It's going to vary every day, and it culminates on Friday. We're hoping to have, I think we have a discussion already, for example, I think we did last year, but we'll have some kind of refreshment at the end, and to stick around. I heard last year men had enjoyed that. They stuck around until after midnight and so on, when things had ended about 8 o'clock, 8:30, like they wanted more. So here's an opportunity again. I'm calling on all men who are listening to me, all women who are listening to me, to encourage their brothers, their boyfriends, their husbands, their uncles, and whoever, their friends, to make an effort to come. It's 5 days. If you can come all 5 days, come as many days as you can. Ideally, if you could come for all 5 days, we're touching on different topics. But even before that activity, there's an upcoming activity organized by a bigger group, because, like I said, there was an encouragement by the Archbishop for all parishes to have the planning committee and to organize activities, because this problem is not only unique to Soufriere. It's all over. It's all over St. Lucia, all over the world. So he has charged and all parishes to put committees together to organize activities. And there are also national activities and so on. So one of the activities that we have on Sunday, as part of a series of activities, will start a fire. And it is in response to the grace proclamation of the Year of the Men, and moved by prompting of Holy Spirit and Catholic charismatic renewal. So this is called a Start a Fire Ministry, and they have arranged a series of activities. A few of them have already taken place, but the one for Soufriere is scheduled for March 22nd, which is this Sunday. It starts at 4 p.m. at the Soufriere Church, what we refer to as the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, at 4 p.m. And it's expected to go on for about an hour and a half. You will have exposition of the Blessed Sacrament, reflections of Jericho talk, examination of your conscience, writing and surrenders of the walls into baskets, silent walk around the church, a number of activities to help us, prepare, like I said, for Lent, for Easter, and to help us get closer to the Lord and help us to be more spiritual. And, nothing is possible if God is not involved in it. And I have seen it happen in my life, the reason why I'm here. I know of what God has done for me. I know I grew up not necessarily having a father around, but I had uncles and I had a mother who I think compensated for me not having a father around. I know the effects of it. So I've always said to myself, I need to play my role as a father, as a husband, as a community leader, as a manager, whatever, to see that I leave the world and the places that I step into and the roles that I play, I make an effort to leave it better than I found it, at least so that those who take over from me can build on that. And so I am pleased to be part of this group. And I want to encourage all men, let's start Sunday. Make an effort. It's 4 p.m., just an hour and a half. I'm not sure if Grace Masler will be there. I suspect he will be. There will be other priests from other communities and so on. And it's going to be a nice activity that will galvanize our faith in God and put us on a better stead in terms of dealing with the challenges that are to come to us as individuals, as families, and so on. So I implore you all to encourage, bring along a friend, bring along somebody. Let's fill up the church so that we show that we have an interest in responding to the call by the Archbishop for us to play our roles in the church, in the family, in the schools, in the community, and so on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bobb. Very insightful. A burning question. Yes, you're part of that men's group, and the encouragement that you're making is very much appreciated. But for persons on the outside who are actually listening, first of all, they would be like, what is Lent? So what is so specific to that period of time? Yes, you're asking persons to come in and converge, but then sincerely, do they want to be there? You understand what I'm saying? And even what happens after that period as well, because you spoke about forgiveness and peace and coming together and all those sort of things. But then it would be just a show for that time being.
Well, no, like I said to you, Lent and the period leading up to Easter, from Good Friday to Easter Sunday, is a very, very important time in the calendar of activities for the Catholic Church, and is observed every year. You just imagine you have somebody who comes to save you from your sin. He is crucified. He is treated all kinds of ways by the same people that he came and he assisted and he helped. And there were opportunities his father could have freed him. He could have helped himself, but he wanted to go through the sacrifice, the pain and suffering, so that he can deliver us. Now, I may not be the best person to be speaking about that because I'm no priest, but you're in the Catholic Church long enough and you know the story of Jesus Christ. You have, to me, if you understand that story and the sacrifice that he made for us when he didn't have to. Before I know Father, before you get a little pain in your finger, you're starting to cry.
Jesus.
Right? Men can handle pain. Just imagine you have to carry a cross for how many miles. Then you have to be pinned onto that cross. Most people were tied onto the cross. They bought nails through your hands. They pierce your side. All that you could have, by just a snap of your finger, you could have escaped that. But he said, no, I want to do it for my people. Somebody did that for us to give us an opportunity, all right, for us to be able to be next to his Father in heaven. And the least we can do is show our appreciation. So Lent is a very important part. It's more than just for show. It is to show your, and I hope I'm doing justice. As I say, I'm not a priest, or somebody who studied religion and so on. But it is to show your appreciation for that. Sometimes we do a little thing for our wives and we want our wives to show appreciation in ways that, they not even possible. For a little flower you give them, or a little chocolate you give them for Valentine's Day. But somebody who sacrificed their life for you, go through all that pain and suffering and torture. There was a time when the same people that he helped, they were given the opportunity to decide to free one of those people who were on the cross. And he was next to two notorious thieves. Jesus had not committed any sin. And we, the people that he helped, isn't that part of life that the people that you help are always the ones who stab you in the back? Right? We decided, no, let us crucify Jesus. Let's free a guy we know who is a notorious criminal. And he went through all that. And he did it for us. So Lent is a time for us to prepare to show appreciation for that sacrifice that Jesus made for us. And if you understand that, if you can appreciate that, you can see the need for it to be, the lead up to it to require that kind of reflection, that kind of prayer, that kind of thanksgiving, that kind of reaching out to show that you are living in the image and likeness of Jesus Christ and God, who was very generous. He didn't have much like everybody else, but he was very generous to the needy, to the poor, gave sight to the blind and so on. And some of us, so he's calling on some of us who have enough to be able to share that and think about that and emulate that kind of behavior. And no doubt that will do wonders for you as an individual. When you're able to help people, they may not necessarily appreciate it, true, but you did it because you wanted to help, and you helped somebody or family or somebody in need. That's a great feeling. That's a great feeling. And if you can do it and emulate that throughout our lives beyond Lent, fantastic.
Thank you so much for that. Given I'm actually joined by another male in studio, that's 2-to-1 ratio. How significant, is that retreat to men in our society, and just making a special appeal, like just knocking on doors as well?
It's very important. It's important for us to understand the importance of prayer, the importance of God in our lives, and what miracles and what wonders God can do in helping us deal with the struggles of life. I mean, you just have to look around. You go to a PTA meeting, a Parents Teachers Association meeting. It's invite you, an invitation go out to both the father and the mother to come to those meetings. Come and hear about what the school is doing to help educate your children and what the problems are and how you can help. And who do you see show up at those meetings? Primarily females. The fathers are absent. What's the effect of that? I could tell you, there are fathers, when they play the role is a vast difference than when the father is absent. All right? You may have a son who may be very good at sports, and all he needs is father to be there for him, to show up at the games, to encourage him, to even assist him. Sometimes the fathers are sportsmen themselves. But fathers believe that their role, some fathers believe that their role is just to give money. Your role is far greater than that. Yes, the money is important to be able to buy the needs of the child, but the child needs support, emotional support, spiritual support. Going to church with the child from very early, and the mother and the whole family goes to church, and you raise that child praying and understanding the importance of prayer and the support of God and so on. You watch the senior positions in government right now that are predominantly occupied by males. Most of the PSCs, permanent secretaries in government, are females. Any important activity that you see going around, when you go there, in attendance are females. Where are the guys? The guys are on the block. The guys are in the bars. The guys are somewhere. In an activity that I'm not saying is absolutely useless, there's a time and place for it. But we have dropped the ball as men. We have allowed women to take over. And some of us are crying foul. There are some men, don't get me wrong, there are some men who are trying, who want to, and In fact, one of the first activities that this committee planned was 2 Sundays ago, a launch of the program, and it involved inviting men at Cool Breeze to have a discussion, only men. Bishop Marsden was there, Father Sammy was there, and some other people were there. And about 40-something men showed up, which was remarkable. And the highlight for me, although I wasn't able to make it, but the feedback, the highlight was that men were placed in various groups to discuss why are they absent? Why are you absent in church? So one group dealt with the church. Why are you absent in the family? Why aren't you playing your role in the family? Or why aren't men playing a role in the family? Or in society? Or in the community? And you'd be surprised to know some of the reasons that they gave. And you sense that I want to, for example, I want to be part of the church. I want to participate in church, Father, but I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to do. I'm not confident enough to go and do a reading, although I want to. I don't. Or my friends laugh at me. They see me going to church. Or I'm not encouraged by my male friends to go to church because they themselves don't go to church. So you sit down there on a Sunday watching football whilst you watch your daughter and your son and your wife or your girlfriend go to church. You know, they come back and they find you lying on the same place, or even food you prepare. All right. So these things came out. Women are and in some cases, it's how women treat them, or how they're treated by society, or the pressures put on them by society. Hey, you're a provider, you're a financial provider, and we have a tendency to be materialistic. We want to keep up with the Joneses. So the neighbor has a car, and the neighbor has a nice fancy house, and the neighbor has this and that. So all of a sudden, you're putting pressure on the man to, hey, I need that. I need to be able to go and do my hair every week. I need to be able to buy a new car. I need to be able to do this. I need to be able to do that. So I'm putting pressure on the man. So the man, he figures he has the pressure to provide for his family. He goes and takes a second job. By taking a second job now, he now has less time to spend with his children. And even if he wants to, he's too tired when he comes home. So these are some of the things. It's not always the men's fault. And I think we want to recognize what's coming out of the discussion is that it's not only the men's fault. We all are involved in the situation that we find ourselves in when men are sidelined or are not playing the role. And we all need to recognize that that is not the best situation for us. And we all need to decide what is our role in doing that. All right? Men spoke about, boy, the nagging. You know, the nagging, and how what it does to the confidence and the motivation to it's like some of them tell you, boy, no matter what I do, it's never enough. When I think I have fulfilled that request, something more comes, you know, and then forces me to go and work harder or do other things to get what is needed to make people happy. So we need to recognize that, and we need to, the same way we recognized several years ago, and we need women alongside men, we need to recognize that we are probably overshot the target, and now we need to see how we can get men back in the mainstream of contributing the way they need to contribute to make our society work.
Yeah, thank you. Let's look at, if it's the tagline, strengthening relationships, rebuilding the bonds. What kind of relationships are you hoping to impact?
Well, all kinds of relationships. Your relationship with yourself, your relationship with God, your relationship with your colleagues at work, your relationship with your family, your relationship with your child, your spouse, your uncle, your brother, community, your employer, your boss. The reality is that we, as human beings, we depend on relationships. When we have good, healthy relationships throughout, I mean, can you imagine how you would function as a manager if you didn't have a relationship with your staff? And I'm not talking about necessarily a friendly relationship, but a professional relationship, because there is a dependency. You can't be a good boss and you can't get an organization to perform if it's all its members, all the staff members, or majority of them are performing on their roles. So you need to develop that relationship with your boss, one that is based on mutual respect, mutual understanding, understand that people are different, understand people have needs, and so on. Relationships. A lot of people are in a house, in a family, but there's no communication or effective communication. So the most they say to each other is good morning, goodbye, good night. And there is, over time, maybe it never existed, maybe over time the relationship just dwindled because we take each other for granted, or there's one that is more superior and dominating. And so, you know what? All right, according to bagay who start to buy pali, Niger Scooty. All right, and that party never gets a chance to. That came out of the symposium as well, or the activity I spoke about as well at Cold Breeze. That after a while, some men say, "Hey, I just give up because I seem to be useless." You'd be surprised to know what it does to men's ego when all of a sudden they see the women are now working, which is a good thing. Of course, that comes with issues in the household as well, and now making more money than them. And some men can't deal with that. You know, some men can't handle the fact that the wife, is making more money than them. That's something that is unheard of for them, and you'd be surprised how it affects them. So you need to be able to reach out to those men and help them understand. It doesn't help when the woman who is making more money than you now makes you feel inferior, and all of a sudden now you are useless because that can't be helpful and healthy for a relationship. So women have to recognize that as well, that there are men who probably are affected by certain things, and we need to be sensitive to that and see how we can tackle that. So the committee will be tasked with, or is tasked and is taking seriously the responsibility of planning programs, activities, whether it be discussions with men about some of the issues that are raised. So the Lenten season, we've asked whether the priest, and by the way, it will be done mainly by the Lenten men retreat in Soufriere will be done by a visiting priest. So Father Sami will be there, but it will be by the visiting priest, and who knows whatever other people that will be coming to speak to us, singing, dancing, activities, and so on will be undertaken during the Lenten season to make it exciting. So come on, make an effort. Come the first day. I'm sure if you come the first day, you'll come the second day and come the third day. You can make a sacrifice. It's an hour and a half. Let's fill the church. Let's respond to that call as men. Usually, traditionally, when you look at the women's retreat and men's retreat, there are a lot more women in church than men. You can hardly find men in church. What day was that we went to? I can't remember what activity it was. Sometime last year. And we were supposed to, after Mass, we were supposed to stay on, the women were supposed to stay on and pray for an hour, and afterwards the men stayed and prayed for an hour. All the women who were in church stayed and prayed for the hour. And then by the time the hour was done, we ended up with about 5 men in church praying for that hour. And that's just the reality of what exists. But we need to change that. Let us put our hands up. Men, let us be present. Let us do what we need to do. So I know Father will be there come Monday. But Saturday and Sunday, like I said, come to the activity that is organized called, what's it called? Can you remember? Activity at 4 p.m. at the Soufriere Church, Start a Fire. It will just be an hour and a half activity where we'll be helping to build the spirituality of persons as we lead up to Lent.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bobb. 15 minutes moving up to the hour. A question. In your opinion, have you seen positive changes from similar past initiatives? Because we know it's an annual initiative with Lent and the various retreats. Yeah. Can you share with us, has it really impacted persons or even community on a positive note?
I mean, my experience, when you look at the attendance at church, it's disappointing. And then when you break it down into male, female, children, it's even more disappointing, especially on the side of males. We're losing that battle. For some reason, we need to look into even the whole format and the whole way a church service is run, to see whether or not there are ways in which we can make it more exciting. I know you have in a lot of churches you have musical accompaniment to the songs and so on, which helps, dynamic speakers, and other activities that could pique your interest rather than just the mundane routine thing. Yes, there are supposed to be certain parts of a mass that must be, but can we infuse it with other things that will cause younger persons to come to church? And we're losing that. Every year you go to church, and what's hypocritical is that, what's to me is like, you go to church on a Christmas day or on a New Year's Day. New Year's Day is normally when everybody go and show up because I think they want to come and pray to start a good new year and to ask God to help them pass a new year, and then they never show up after that again. Or the numbers you see in church for a funeral, but then you don't see them in church. The number of children you know that are supposed to be at First Communion or preparing for First Communion, do the children show up for church? There was a time when I grew up, I did not have a choice. I did not have a choice. Sometimes your parents tell you, my daughter said she didn't want to come to church today. I didn't have that luxury when I grew up. All of us go to church, and all of us saying the decade of the rosary every night or whatever. I'm surprised I never was made to be an acolyte. I don't know how that one passed me, but I know my other uncles and so on were acolytes. My grand aunt, my grandmother, they were insisting that you do what you need to do as a Catholic, going to church and participating. So, but sadly we've lost that, and hence the reason why we're seeing what we're seeing in our families and our societies, which are not encouraging. So unless we decide to do something to change that around, and that's what we are here to do, to see how we can get our men to play their part, we're going to be losing ground and continue to lose ground.
A personal question to you, given your Catholic faith, do you think the poor attendance has more to do with the attack when persons come to church, even the preachers, how they blatantly cast those remarks on as if to add insult to injury? Because, okay, you one definitely who spends majority of your time at bars or not living, that pleasant lifestyle, and you come into church and hearing the pastor speaking of that same thing and saying, oh, you whatever, you whatever, and it speaks to you. So now you would not want to step foot back into that.
You hear that, and I take that on board. I think as a priest and persons who participate in this service, there is a need to, for example, the homily, for example, that follows after the various readings. There is a need to try to deliver the homily in such a way that people can relate to it. Now, I think there's an attempt by priests to try to relate those things to our everyday life, and some, sadly, I think, go overboard. Mm-hmm. I mean, human beings are motivated by different things, all right? Not everybody be motivated by you having the sins out there for the whole and chastising them. Some may feel, hey, it's a wake-up call for me. True, that's true, what Father said there. But some may be pushed away for that. So it's important for the priest to read the thing. It's not always there's something called positive reinforcement as well. So you could say the same thing, without necessarily putting it in such a raw way that people feel attacked and people feel like, hey, and so on. So there is a need to make sure that people can relate to what the priest is saying. All right, but we have to be careful that we don't do it in such a way that we are casting judgment and we are embarrassing persons and we are jetting power, or at least people are getting the perception that you're throwing power for me. So a priest's job is, like a teacher, has to be able to impart knowledge and effect behavioral change by understanding what makes people listen and act, all right? And it's not always about the same way in the household. You have people who only highlight the negative things of their partner, and when the partner does good, they don't even mention it, or they don't highlight it, or they don't use the positive reinforcement. You see what you did there today? I really enjoyed it, honey. I really like that. All right. But you amplified the negatives that they do. And so that causes a particular reaction. So, yeah, I agree with you that we need to be very careful how, as much as we want to make it relevant and make it something that people can relate to, we need to also watch people's feelings as well and how it can affect people's feelings in a negative way.
Okay,
Go ahead.
with regards to the men, the planning committee, are there activities that will be taking place outside of a church setting?
Yes, and let me just big up my other members of the committee. So you're talking about Michael Bobb, you're talking about Mandil Alcy, you're talking about Errol Alexander, Tanti Emmanuel, you have Paul Joseph, you have George, Eustace. So these are some of the people that have been showing up and putting their hands up and say let's plan things. So we, like I said, this thing goes beyond the church. The church is the catalyst for starting, but it's because we recognize it's beyond the churches, in the families and so on. So there will be activities, sporting activities, cultural activities, entertainment activities, anything that will cause men to come together so we can have a discussion and we can recognize there's a need for us to change our direction. Anything that we believe will help men be aware and be motivated to do better, we will plan. So yes, there will be a day, we've already spoken about a day where probably we'll have sporting activities where the entire family is there. A cookout, for example. Come, we cook, we talk, we laugh, we joke. Go to the schools, for example. Invite various professionals to speak to men, for example, about different things, whether it's financial management, whether it's emotional intelligence. That's a fancy word we use now. That we need to be emotionally intelligent and aware of people's feelings and how what we do and what we say can affect persons. It's important. So yes, to answer your question, we hoping to have a wide spectrum of activities that we hoping can attract men of different walks of life and bring out the outcome that we're looking for, which is for men to show up.
Okay.
And be counted.
Funny you spoke of outcome. My next question would have been, how would all that be measured, in terms of putting those activities together, getting the men to attend, but what happens after that? Are they going to be putting it into practice? So even in perspective though.
Yeah, and that's always the part that's the most difficult part, transferring what you have learned and what you have understood into real life. And that involves continuous activities. So the very first activity we had, the 40-something persons, it was an impressive amount of persons to come on a Sunday and show up. And not only that, they stayed longer and they participated and they were open. And we have a lot of information. A report that I see there, about 7 or 8 pages long, of not just why we are not showing up or why we believe men are not showing up, but how. So we recognize why. So what strategies can we put in place? So we also have that in the report, and I will discuss other things. So we'll continue to look at that and see how we can develop programs and projects and activities that can help develop that. But it involves consistency and making it realistic. So one step at a time, step by step. You can't come from being a horrible father to becoming a fantastic father overnight. We recognize that. So we need to be able to take it step by step. But it involves, again, and I reiterate, it involves the help of everybody, including women. Let's pull up our men in a way, not in a condescending way, but in a way that will bring about the result we all want. I think women all want to know that they have their spouses, their husbands, being productive and supportive, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and all the allies you can think of.
Thank you so much for that. We have Mandil Alcy, and by them coming to church, that is already a positive. Well said.
That's right. That's right, no doubt. I mean, it involves it's a certain discipline as well. So coming to church requires for you to plan, prepare to be there. I mean, is the most difficult thing to get people out of their homes on a Sunday, particularly Sunday morning. But if you can discipline yourself to get up, prepare, come to church, that's a discipline that you're putting in that can augur well for you in the future. And we lack discipline. Young people lack the discipline. Young people lack the, and I say, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of the things we've seen there, they don't want to commit to anything that requires much effort, and we need to get young people aware of some of the things, some of the pitfalls, some of the ways that they're falling short. And we can only do that if our fathers are present to assist with doing that.
Okay. 3 minutes to the hour. What message would you like to leave with men who maybe have been hesitant about attending? And that is something we'll definitely see happening as well. And how can the wider community, support? Because we're not just saying when we talk about the men retreat, say it's men retreat Soufriere, but then it's the region, men retreat Francois Jacques, men retreat, the in communities as well.
Right. So, I mean, do you agree? The first question is, do you agree that men have an important role to play in society? That's the first question you need to ask yourself if you listen to me. Do you agree that we have an important role to play? Do you agree that a lot of us are falling short of playing that role? Do you agree that because of that, our children are not growing up to be the best that they can be, getting involved in things that they probably should not? All right. Do you agree that our community is worse off because we are not playing our role? Do you agree that you feel less valued as a man because all you're interested in doing is just climbing on the block? You're not able to provide, your children have to go to school. I don't know how you feel, but to me, the worst feeling I could ever feel is when my family, my daughter, my wife, my mother need something and they turn to me to ask me for it and I cannot help. That helpless feeling that you get is some of the worst feeling. Even when my daughter is sick and I just look at her and the most I can do is try to take her to the doctor. That helpless feeling, you can't take away the pain from her and so on. There are things that you can control. There are some men who have good jobs. They make the money, but are they making it available for the children at the right time in the right ways? So the school books and the uniforms and so on, is that a priority for them? We have a role to play as men. We used to play it arguably better in the past. There is no reason why we cannot continue and even do it even better. I mean, when we look at the technologies and the things that are available to us to assist us as parents, as bosses, as fathers, as brothers, and so on, to make life easier and better. There are things. It just requires a commitment from each one of us that we're going to, as early as tomorrow, if we're not, do some introspection. Am I being the best father that I can be for my children? Am I being the best husband I can be for my wife or my spouse? Am I being the best son towards my mother? Am I giving my mother a heartache? My mother gone through all kinds of sacrifices and pain to see me go to school, do well. She sacrificed herself for me. And am I making her proud? Am I being the best boss that I can be? Am I being the best employee that I can be? And let us make those small changes to make life better. You will reap the rewards. Your family will reap the rewards. Your community, your workplace will reap the rewards if you do that introspection and make that commitment to play your role as a man in society.
Thank you. In closing, just to reiterate next week, the time and encouraging persons to really come out. Men, it's your time to shine. Come out.
That's right. So through the church, we're doing our part. Let us start with attending this Sunday's activity from 4:30 to 5:30. That's the time I see there, right? 4 p.m., sorry, to 5:30 p.m. At the Soufriere Catholic Church. It's called Start a Fire. I think we want to start a fire on the persons to be able to fulfill their responsibility. The number of activities will be going on in the church to help with that. It starts at 4.
Before you go on further, Mr. Bobb, even with what's happening on Sunday, minus our advertisement going out, will there be a town crier to actually?
There will be we spoke about a town crier that will be going around to see how we can again let people know that this thing is happening and the need for them to show up. So that is a plan. We also have it hopefully, I think it's right now also on Liberty FM. So it's one thing to hate, but let's hope we can respond positively to it. It doesn't take much. You'll be a better person for it. You're not going to regret coming on Sunday, and the following week is men's retreat. I'm sure most people don't have heard about men's retreat. It's only men going to be there. So we're among, our our likes, and we can express ourselves and we can have fun. Let us show that we're interested in that. It starts at 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. every day, Monday to Friday. It culminates with some refreshments. I think we're looking to have some Creole kind of eats and so on, that we can and have some little fun at the end, laugh, joke, and hopefully that can carry on beyond Lent and be manifested in our lives, whether it's in the family, whether it's at work, at school, in your child's life, and so on. Let's do that. Let's do that, guys.
Thank you so much. Any final invitation?
Yes. Like I said, the invitation goes out to all men. The women's retreat is going on right now, so you have 2 more nights. Encourage all women to go, and I'm asking the women to also encourage the men to go. Promise them something that if they go, promise them something nice if they go, that will encourage them. But just need you to come and listen and see what you can, discern and learn from what is happening. Also teach, because it's going to be a 2-way session. We're not only coming there to listen, but we also come in hopefully for an opportunity for them to listen to us as well, and to hear us, for everybody to get an opportunity. All right. So I'll see you all on Sunday at the Start a Fire activity at the church, and then the week Monday, what's Monday? Monday the 22nd, is it? What's Monday's date? The 23rd. The 23rd to the 27th of March, 6 p.m. And the theme for this Lent is Walking with Men of Faith, Call to Conversion, Communion, and Peace in the Footsteps of St. Francis of Assisi. All right, so you have no excuses. Ladies, make sure you all don't give them any chores, any things to do, so I could use it as an excuse. I wanted to come in, but my wife tell me I have to. Okay?
Just when I was about to set you free, you made mention of the theme. Why was the example of St. Francis of Assisi chosen as part of the message? I'm lost.
From my basic reading of St. Francis, was somebody who practiced a very humble life. He resorted to remaining poor and assisting the needy and so on. So he's somebody that the Catholic Church look up as showing, I think it was a friar, they said a friar. So he was somewhat of a preacher man or something that lived a kind of humble life, free from material things, but assisting and helping the poor, and help with a major movement in one of the ministries. So that's my basic understanding of him. So he's somebody that the Catholic Church sees as being worthy of emulation and praise because of the kind of life that he lived, one where he was helping and not after the riches of the world and being influenced by that.
Thank you so much for that clarity. 6 after the hour in Soufriere Solution, of course, the Eastern Caribbean. Immense gratitude to you, Mr. Bobb, and I can officially say that you are part of the committee for the men. And
Yes.
this year, it is Year of the Men, Year of the Men. And what we did not do is to break down some of the aspects in Creole for our people to understand everything.
Oui.
But découragé now before
Oui,
you go.
moi voulais dire par toi, vous savez, nous Catholic Church la ni saison Lenten qui est actuellement, ça est 40 jours, nous avons célébré et nous avons réfléchi sur la vie nous, à de manière nous avons apprécié ça. Jésus qui fait par nous, il était venu sur la terre et qui était venu pour aider nous et pécher nous et qui était perdre la vie pour ça, il a crucifié avec 3 jours il levé sur nous avons créé sa Pâques, Easter Sunday. So nous avons approché saison ça, nous avons approché temps ça avec ça, un temps qui est bien important by Catholic Church là. Part of activity ça Archbishop Masley Hawe quand un shady moun Hawe nom ka perd valeur en society a jika famille nous pas ka faire ces bail là nous supposé faire as norme pour ça a résulté avec a society qui a détruit valeur nous a détruit morale nous a détruit ich nous pas ka discipline avec bagay comme avec il comment dit pour ça il dit l'année ça nous qui l'année ça l'année pour nom et pour nous faire pour démarche pour nous manière nous ça encourager nom pas juste pour vivre à l'église et pour participer à l'église mais aussi en famille à l'école en société. So nous avons un comité qui a organisé différentes activités. L'année comité à chaque parish qui a organisé des activités pour voir manière de s'amener nom et faire nom plus intéressé à vie pour faire ça aussi posé faire pour faire la terre courir primaire. Et nous avons un comité Soufriere et nous avons des activités nous avons fait pour commencer ça. Moi ici pour dire l'année activité dimanche à l'église l'inviter tout le monde tout nom pour venir attendre il a commencé à 4h just maybe un détail et demi et nous allons danser nous allons chanter nous allons parler avec après ça lundi actuellement nous avons retweet les madames semaine passée c'est pour petit maman là et semaine là qui venir commencer lundi les votes 23 nous avons commencé pour semaine là avec retweet ces noms là il a commencé à 6h encore un éditeur et demi et il a dit vendredi is Friday right? Yes. Vendredi yes et nous avons une petite célébration après ça nous avons manger nous avons parler nous avons boire vendredi. So là, encourager tout homme qui a côté moi, toute femme qui a côté moi pour encourager ces hommes là venir dimanche avec pour semaine là 6h30 pour 7h30 tous les jours lundi pour vendredi men's retreat l'église catholique là en ville.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bobb. It is now 10 after 12 in Soufriere Solution, of course, the Eastern Caribbean. This has been Mr. Darnel Bobb from the Men's Planning Committee, RC Soufriere Parish. And of course, he will be back here to keep you updated with the various activities that will be taking place for the men. We encourage each and every one of you to make a special effort to attend commencing Sunday. Thank you so much.
And thank you for responding to my requests. Much appreciated.
You're most welcome, for sure. This is where we say goodbye, au revoir. As always, it's a pleasure sitting here keeping you company inside of Thursday's edition, the 19th of March, 2026. House guest, it has been Mr. Darnel Bobb. To have a productive one, stay safe until next week. Thursday, God's willing, we're out. Thank you. Please stay tuned. Easy listening segment is up.